bad polling today for the Morrison government that suggests they could lose the election in May just in Western Australia alone. A poll showing huge swings there that could cost the government a minimum of 3 seats around Perth, Hasluck, Swan, Pearce, maybe even Tangney. So I think it is now time to cut to the chase and to ask, wait a minute, hold up. What kind of Labor government are we actually going to get if the polls are right and Anthony Albanese is Prime Minister by May? It's a very important question with a very worrying answer. Last week, Albanese tried to reassure a room full of business leaders, don't worry, he was going to be a Prime Minister, just like the right-wing Labor hero Bob Hawke back in the 80s.
We must discover the spirit of consensus that former Labor Prime Minister Bob Hawke used to bring together governments, trade unions, businesses and civil society around their shared aims of growth and job creation. If Labor is successful in the coming federal election, I'll take my lead from Bob Hawke and his successor, Paul Keating.
Now, to imagine Anthony Albanese himself as a Bob Hawke is a huge stretch, even for those of us who like him personally. Albanese has been on the left of Labor all his life. Bob Hawke was on the right. In fact, Albanese didn't seem too thrilled at meeting Bob Hawke when he was a young hothead and met the great man. Nor does Albanese seem to have Hawke's toughness, Hawke's vision, his charisma, his broad experience. And some might add he doesn't have Hawke's smarts. But I want to be generous. So let's assume for the sake of this argument that, Albanese's been transformed as a completely new man, a new Bob Hawke. Okay, hold that thought. Even if you can do all that, there is still one critical difference. So vital a difference. Bob Hawke, as Prime Minister, led a team stacked with talent and drive and common sense. In contrast, Albanese's team is astonishingly second-rate. I want to compare Bob Hawke's first ministry, particularly his first cabinet of senior ministers, compare it directly with Albanese's shadow cabinet. And you will find no more than 3 or 4 Albanese picks who could even match Bob Hawke's. Let's go through them. Probably Tanya Plibersek in education. Maybe Ed Husick would blossom. I like him. Perhaps Shadow Treasurer Jim Chalmers could yet surprise us with his supposed talents, live up to all that billing. But who else? I don't know. Has Tony Burke maybe learned from his disastrous time as Immigration Minister when he failed to stop the boats before Tony Abbott did? So you really see, here I am. I'm trying to be generous to Labor. But the fact is that Anthony Albanese's shadow cabinet, your next government, includes a frightening number of people who seem like utter dwarfs in comparison to Hawke's team. Let me make a few comparisons. For example, Bob Hawke's Senate leader was John Button. Now, John Button, I met him, I liked him. He had great wit and charm, and he would reach out to almost anyone to make a good deal for this country, particularly as industry minister. But Anthony Albanese's Senate leader is Penny Wong, and she is a cold Labor left tribalist who Kimberly Kitching of Labor's Right told me before her death was one of the mean girls who froze her out for speaking her mind. Even, she said, abused her in an hour-long phone call. Penny Wong denies the allegations. But what Wong surely can't deny is that she is a tribalist who is comfortable only when talking to her own. She won't even negotiate with one nation leader, Pauline Hanson, even though Wong is Labor's Senate leader and Hanson has 2 critical Senate votes that Labor needs. Pauline Hanson told me today that in all the time in Parliament, Penny Wong has talked to her no more than once, maybe twice, she can't quite remember. And this is the government that's going to bring Australians together? More comparisons. Bob Hawke had in his cabinet the brilliant, if mercurial, Gareth Evans as Attorney General. In contrast, Albanese's Attorney General will be the bombastic pedant Mark Dreyfus, regarded as a fool, as was reminded today, even by some of his own. Bob Hawke's treasurer was Paul Keating, a ferociously quick study, visionary reformer. Albanese's treasurer will be Jim Chalmers, who's going to battle to live up to his friend's hype and be even close to Keating's equal. But it gets worse. An absolute rock in Bob Hawke's government was Peter Walsh, first as Resources and Energy Minister and then Finance Minister, probably our greatest. Walsh was tough. He was totally no bull. He knew the value of every dollar. But Albanese's Energy Minister will be Chris Bowen, who rabbits on about global warming, doubling as Labor's climate spokesman. Bob Hawke gave foreign affairs to his rival, Bill Hayden, a man of great decency and diligence. But Albanese will give that job to Wong, who strikes me as weak on China. I'm not the only one who thinks that. Hawke's one clear dud in cabinet was Immigration Minister Stuart West, in my opinion. But Albanese's shadow Immigration Minister is an even bigger zero. It's the abrasive party hack Christina Keneally, who led her New South Wales government to catastrophic defeat and now went federal and is in another one of Kitching's mean girls. Hawke's Social Security Minister was the steady Don Grimes, a former doctor who led the fight against AIDS. Albanese's will be Linda Burney, who, nice as I find her, plays far too much race politics. And I once filmed an ABC documentary with her. It took us weeks together. And I was also surprised by astonishing gaps in her basic knowledge. She asked one senator we interviewed how long a senator's term was. She thought it was 5 years. Every MP should know it's 6. Bob Hawke's cabinet also included ministers who willingly get drunk on his own bull, let alone the booze, and not until years later. And Mick Young, his Special Minister of State, was a former shearer, a great down-to-earth kind of person. That's true. Albanese is going to have Don Farrell, a former union official known as the Godfather, to talk sense. But Don Farrell is so low profile, he's invisible. Have you got any idea what he looks like? And one last comparison. Bob Hawke's Finance Minister was the very sharp John Dawkins, who later became Treasurer as that sharp and then a successful businessman, very successful. But Albanese's Finance Minister will be Katie Gallagher, a former social worker and union organiser, a remorseless socialist left hardliner, and the third of Kitching's alleged mean girls. More about them later. And then check, who Hawke still had waiting parked in his outer ministry. Kim Beazley, Barry Cohen, Neil Blewett, Michael Duffy, Brian Howe, among others. Talent, talent, talent. And to match them, who's Albanese got? He could probably boast, I don't know, maybe of Jason Clare or former leader Bill Shorten, yes. Except, of course, Albanese wants Shorten gone. I won't be surprised if he makes Shorten an ambassador. Quick smart, gets him out of Parliament. Watch that tip. So, bottom line. Anthony Albanese may well want to be a Prime Minister like Bob Hawke, who was a great Prime Minister. But even if Albanese could make himself a Hawke, just look at the team he's got to help him actually run the country. The senior people who will form the next Labor government. With them as his ministers, being Bob Hawke is a promise that Albanese cannot keep.